Hi, I'm Benji Rosenzweig from Ben and Benji, Detroit, and we are here with Kevin Washburn today from Clark Hill. And Ben and I have been working with our clients and talking to our clients through this COVID situation, trying to figure out ways to stay in front of them, be helpful, help them make a little bit of extra money, and just figure out what things are happening and what's going well, and how we could be as useful to them as possible. We were having a conversation with Kevin, who's doing the same thing as an attorney at Clark Hill. And he brought up PACE financing and how that's helping a lot of his clients. And so we decided, even though Ben's not here on this call today, we wanted to share with you some of the stuff that Kevin's been sharing with us. So Kevin, why don't you introduce yourself and we can talk a little bit about PACE financing.
Thanks, Benji. Kevin Washburn, as you said, I'm an attorney with Clark Hill in our Detroit office. I do primarily commercial real estate and corporate. So on the commercial real estate side, the conversation that we're talking about is what can property owners and landlords do now when they have some time, so to speak, with a little bit of a lull in the economy, but something that they can do that doesn't cost them a lot of money. And so that's where the conversation turned to PACE. It's an interesting program. For those who aren't familiar with it, PACE stands for Property Assessed Clean Energy Financing. And what it is it's financing for, in the short version, efficiency upgrades to your property. We'll get into a little more detail on what type of energy efficiency upgrades qualify in a little bit. But from that mindset and starting point, the other thing that's interesting about it is it's 100% financing in your zero out of pocket. It has to also have a positive ROI from day one. So right now, while the economy is a little tight, money's tight, people aren't moving forward, this is something that property owners and landlords can look at to add value to their property. They now have the time to do it likely, and it's not going to cost them any of their valuable cash on hand that they have, which is a good thing in times like this.
So let's break it down into a couple different steps here. So this financing is basically financing that is it government funding or is it bank funding?
So there's a couple different programs across the country. So it can be a hybrid of both. Traditionally, it's either going to be private money or institutional bank money run through the program. It becomes a special assessment on the property itself. So don't think of it like a traditional loan. The interest rates are significantly lower. So your payment isn't to, XYZ bank. Your payment is a separate tax bill that you'll receive on that property through an assessment. So the nature of the financing depends on the locale.
Right. So let's say you get, and we're going to talk about what qualifies for PACE financing, but let's say you get $1 million worth of financing for this PACE project, and they add 50 cents a square foot onto your real estate tax as the special assessment. How long of a window is that? Is that a 10-year window? Is it a 30-year window? How does that work?
So it is long-term. It's not going to be 30. I believe 20 is the cap, but there's going to be somewhere in between 10 to 20 is the range that I traditionally see. And I think it is capped at 20. Traditionally, $1 million on a property, you're probably looking at more of a 10 to 15-year range,
okay.
Just because of the size of it. And it's a little different than, like you said, it's not quite based on the square footage. It's based on the value of the loan itself, which is the assessment. And it's a separate tax bill that you'll pay as a special assessment.
Okay. And then what are the activities or items that qualify for PACE?
So you can kind of put it in a couple different buckets: efficiency, renewable, water, and resiliency are kind of the main ones. So resiliency, you see that more out west or down south, which are going to be weather resiliency, hurricane upgrades, earthquake upgrades, those types of things. Ones that are more applicable to here in Michigan are going to be those efficiency upgrades. So that's going to be your building envelope, windows, roof, HVAC, LED lighting, those types of things, insulation, anything that's going to improve the efficiency of the building itself.
Does the top 20 count?
I'm sorry?
Does tuck pointing count? Upgrading the bricks?
It's a really specific one, but I think it probably would, because you're going to get to the efficiency of the envelope itself. So I think we could make an argument that that probably would qualify. Not
Or
one.
building insulation?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Can you tell us the time frame? How does it go? How does it work?
So you're going to have to identify a project that you want to do. Usually we'll bring in a party that's familiar with PACE financing from the finance side to make sure that you start work with the process with them. One of the requirements from a commercial standpoint is that it has to, like I said, has to have a positive ROI from day one. So we'll bring in engineers to do an assessment of what the efficiency of the building is before and after the proposed upgrades. And as long as there's a positive return and we can get it done within that time frame, that engineer's report will be utilized to help qualify for PACE. And then it qualifies, and then we close the loan. So the time frame, a couple months.
Okay. And then how long do you have to do the work? So you qualify for the money. When do you get the work, or when do you get the money? Does the money have to be spent before you do the work, or are you reimbursing yourself, or are you getting a check and then doing the work?
So you can treat the money like more like a traditional kind of construction loan to fund the project while you're going. But caveat here, you can also use PACE to refinance a loan or a construction loan for certain aspects that would have been PACE eligible. And I believe the time period you can look back to is 2 years. So if last year you did a project that was a roof and a new HVAC system and you financed that, but you didn't do it under PACE, we can go back and see if we can qualify that under PACE to refi it and move it over to PACE, which has lower interest rates than traditional financing.
That's a really big deal, not just for guys who are thinking about redeveloping projects that they have right now, but if you just finished a redevelopment, you may be able to qualify to refi that money and just lower your interest rates.
Absolutely.
You mentioned that it has to be ROI positive. Would a prepayment penalty, if you're refining a loan, qualify for that money?
So the positive ROI comes in the total value of the loan and what the savings is. So what that monthly assessment or that annual assessment is going to cost you to repay back the financing is the savings that you've gotten when that engineer came in and did that assessment, that energy efficiency savings is going to be less than that. Then that's where the quantifier is. Traditionally, it's 100% financing. I personally have not dealt with a situation where a penalty was being applied, prepayment penalty was being applied. I have not seen a prohibition against that. That'd be an interesting one. I think we could make the argument that it could be rolled in with 100% financing, but I haven't specifically seen that issue.
There's a reason I send you all my complicated stuff. So
exactly, we'll find an answer.
Exactly. Tell me a little bit before we wrap up why you think now is a really good time for landlords to be thinking about doing this.
Well, any landlord who's been looking at their property and saying, we need to upgrade that HVAC, or we could, or we should, or any of those other things. Right now, I said it before, you tend to have that time, right? We're not going out and doing as many new deals. We're not acquiring, we're not going out and building new projects right now, or they're on pause. So it gives us an opportunity to look at that portfolio and see where we can add value to that portfolio now. Right. And then the other biggest thing that why now is awesome time for it is you don't go out of pocket today. So when money's tight, the economy's on pause, and you can upgrade your building and get a brand new envelope and an HVAC system, go $0 out of pocket and do it while you have the downtime. It's a hard pass to say no to. It's kind of one of those cheesy win-wins, right? So that's why I think now is the time to do it. You don't want to be doing it when you're in the middle of deal season and trying to acquire 4 properties and kick off 3 new reconstruction projects. You want to do it when you have the time.
And my last question, I'm assuming the answer to this is no, but correct me if I'm wrong. if I'm a tenant who's about to do uh, work to a building, new windows, HVAC system, insulation, things like that, I'm assuming I can't get PACE financing because it's paid back as a special assessment on the real estate tax. So I can't obligate a property that doesn't belong to me. Or is there a way to do that?
I would say the answer is no, but. So typically a tenant can't encumber a property, right? We all know that. But the tenant can call the landlord and say, hey, here's what I'm looking to do. Do you want to work with me, and can we funnel it through this process? And a landlord that's open to that could probably see a way to make that work. It's another one of those situations I haven't had arise, but that would be a fun project to work on. That I think there's a way to make it work.
Especially since the payback, and I'm just branching, the payback is a special assessment, so the tenant would be paying the triple net anyway in that scenario.
Yeah.
Landlord may be open to it. So the answer really is no, but if you're creative and you're working with willing parties, it could work.
Correct, especially in a single occupancy building versus a multi-tenant parcel. It'd be a lot easier to make it work. I think you could, off the top of my head here, I keep looking up as I'm thinking about it. I think we could make it work in a multi-tenant aspect too, if we were creative enough and everybody was willing and played well with each other. But it'd be a lot easier in a single tenant situation.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you, Kevin, giving us this high-level overview of PACE and what it looks like. We're going to create this video. We'll put it on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Instagram and Facebook and all that fun stuff. We'll make sure that your contact information is here so that people can find you. And yeah, we appreciate you helping educate our clients.
Awesome. Thank you for the opportunity, and happy to help anybody that has questions.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you.